तमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। चैतन्यं सर्वगं सर्वं सर्वभूतगुहाशयम् यत्सर्वविषयातीतं तस्मै सर्वविदे नमः। Samyag Mati Prakaranam, the Prakaranam chapter on Samyag Mati, on the right knowledge. The teacher here says, Jnanikartha paratvatam vakyam ekam tato viduhu. Pramana vedevatra. Veda is a pramanam. Jnanikartha paratvat. That the entire Veda is paratvat, devoted to jnanikarthatvam, merely the knowledge, revealing the knowledge of the reality, is the sole purpose of the Vedas. Vakyamekam tato viduhu. Not that in part the Veda prescribes, I shouldn't say prescribe, that Veda has the goal of attainment of something by karma, and then Veda has the goal, paratvam, of knowledge. That karma and jnanam are not two goals of the Vedas, not two subject matters of the Vedas. Jnanikartha paratvat. It is devoted simply in revealing the knowledge of the reality. That's why it's called Veda. Ekatvam hyatmano jnayam. What is that knowledge that the Vedas are committed or devoted to reveal? Atmana ekatvam jnayam. That non-duality of Atma, non-duality of the self, or non-duality, what is non-duality, is what the Vedas reveal. Vakyartha pratipattitaha. When you truly understand the Vakyartha, the meaning of the Mahavakya, Tattvamasi, or Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, which are Avanta Vakya, the secondary sentence is leading to the understanding of the primary sentence. Then Atmana Aikyam Ekatvam Jnayam. Ekatvam, non-divided Atma is name, is what is to be known, or is what is delineated of Vedas. No, this is the face of the duality that we are experiencing. The reason why the Vedas have to make this as a point is because we have concluded that what we are experiencing is duality, Bheda, mutual exclusion, and looking upon that or taking that as the reality of life, that what is all divisions. Our life is all based on that conclusion, understanding. And that is absolutely false understanding, which is what is responsible for all the sorrow in life anywhere. And therefore, the only way to become free from sorrow is to remove the cause of sorrow, and that is the false perception, this false conclusion, that is the cause of sorrow. And that can be removed by the right perception, right understanding, which is what the Vedas provide. But how about the duality that we experience? How can you say that? So Tattvam is Jiva Brahma Ikyam, that Jiva and Brahma are identical. That Jiva, that word means something, Brahma, that word means something else. Tattvamasi, that Mahavakya, says Tat is equal to Tvam, Tvam is equal to Tat. Tat is Brahma, Tvam is Jiva, so Brahma is Jiva, Jiva is Brahma. That's what it says, that these two are exactly equal or identical. But Tat has one meaning, Tvam has another meaning, word Brahma has one meaning, word Jiva has another meaning. They create different kind of pratyayas or the cognitions or understanding of our mind. So they are different. How can you say they are identical? Vachya Veda, so Tad Veda Kalpyaha. That Jiva and Brahma are different. That Veda, that division, different means they exclude each other. That's what is meant by difference. What is Jiva is not Brahma, what is Brahma is not Jiva. Jiva is one entity, Brahma is altogether a different entity, they exclude each other. Is that a reality or is that a conclusion? Veda Kalpyaha. Because the words Tat and Tvam are different, the words Jiva and Brahma are different. Therefore, we take for granted that what these words mean, the two entities, Brahma and Jiva, are also different. Vachovi Tatshute. Since words are different, their meanings are different. And because meanings are different, the words are different. Two entities called Ghata and Pata are entirely different from each other. Is it based on our knowledge of reality of Ghata Pata? All the words Ghata and Pata are different, therefore the meanings are different. And meaning object Ghata Pata are different, the words are different. That these two entities are different from each other. They exclude each other. The Bheda duality is it a matter of knowledge or is it a kalpana? Says it is a kalpana. Swarupatah Bheda kalpanayam praman abhavat. Swarupatah. Yes, the word Tat is one, Tvam is different, and what they mean also is apparently different. But Swarupatah, if you analyze what is Swarupa, the essential nature of what Tat stands for, and essential nature of what Tvam stands for, what Brahma stands for, what Jiva stands for, भेद kalpanayam pramana abhavad. If you do not judge them based on their appearance or their costumes of names and forms, but consider what exactly they essentially are, then there is no pramanam, no evidence that we have to conclude that they are different. But the Upanishad itself says, so that sentence was taken for discussion here. Trayam vaidam nama rupam karma chaiti. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Trayam vaidam. So Trayam tveta tadah proktam rupam nama cha karma cha, verse 10 said. That Upanishad itself says this is three. Rupam nama cha karma cha. Rupa the form, nama the name, karma the function. That every entity or object in the world is characterized by having a name, a form and a function which distinguishes it from another one having another name, form and function. So Ghata has one name, form and function, Pata has another name, form and function, Mata has another name, form and function. So Ghata, Pata, Mata are different. So that is what the Upanishad says describing the universe. Says, next verse says then, Asadeta trem tasmat anyonyena hi kalpitam. These three are asat, meaning that both, all of them are imagined, kalpita. That nama requires rupa in order for it to exist. The form ghata requires a name ghata, and the name or word ghata requires form ghata. And both of them are required for the function of ghata. But you cannot arrive at just a nama as such without the rupa. Cannot visualize rupa without the nama. Cannot visualize karma or function without nama rupa. Something can be called real, provided it can be known on its own without depending upon anything else. Even if sapeksham depends upon the others. Anyonyena hi kalpitam. The name depends upon rupa for its kalpana, rupa depends upon nama. And therefore, Anyonya ashraya grastata bhedasya pramadam ashakyataya. Bheda. That vachya artha requires the rupa. Rupa requires the vachya. Each one requires the other. So, when we analyze or examine, look into how our mind functions, how we recognize that this duality is simply taken for granted. And then we build up a whole thing upon that. But we do not find pramanam or any valid means of knowledge to establish that there is duality or division at the level of swarupa or essential nature. Even Trayam vaidam na rupam karma iti asmin brahmane. So you are looking at this vakya, Trayam vaidam na rupam karma. And this is three. Having said that, you should also see further what the Upanishad says. Hedukti purvakam shabda visheshanang vang matratvam. Upanishad proceeds to say that all the shabdas have their source in vang or speech. that Shabda, Ghata, Pata, Matha, or are different modifications of the word of speech. Ruvisheshanam Chakshurmatratvam. All forms are nothing but modification of different colors. What is the form? Is nothing but source is different color. Nama has its source in the speech of the word, and Rupa has its source in the color, and Karma has its source in the body of the organs of action. So first of all, Shruti herself reduces these three Visheshas into the not Nirvishesha but then Samanya. Vishesha Pravilapanena Tat Samanya Tritmabhidaya. Nama, Rupa, Karma. Nama, name is a Vishesha. Rupa, form is a Vishesha. Karma, form is karma, action or function is Vishesha. Now first reduced to their Samanya into word or form or color and organ of action. Etatrayam, then further they are reduced. Etatrayam sat ekayam atma, atma ekah sat etatrayam. Upanishad says, all these three are nothing but sat, which is atma, and this atma is nothing but sat, that is three. Meaning that even of the statement which says Trayam Vaidam Nam Rupam Karma Cha, the intended meaning is not to in fact establish the duality or the multiplicity of these three. The purpose of describing that is to look at a given level, these appear as three. So you examine the Swarupa of all the Nama, the Swarupa is only speech, word, vak. Of Rupa, Swarupa is only color or the eyes. Of Karma, Swarupa is only movement or organs. And you further examine the Swarupa, they all reduce to Sat, Sat, Sat. And so these three are mentioned. Why? Because we take them to be three, therefore. Why does really talk about that at all? Loka siddho mithya bheda shrutya anudyate. Loka siddha mithya bheda. People are taken for granted that Nama, Rupa, Karma are different from each other. So there is Anuvada. Trayam Vaidam, Nama, Rupam, Karma says Anuvada, or restating, reiteration of what people think to enable people to understand what is reality behind what they think. That's all the purpose of the statement was, and not in fact to establish the duality between them. Asad etatrayam tasmat anyonya kalpitam. Therefore, each one of them is asat because each one is sapeksham, depends upon the other one for it being there. And then the teacher said, Kruto varno yatha sabdat. How word creates a form and form creates a word. How word depends upon form. You said that the Nama, Rupa, they depend upon each other. The name depends upon form and form depends upon name. How? Kruto varno yatha sabdat. First of all, someone describes a devata called Indra. Sahasraksha Vajrabahutwadihi. Indra is the lord of the gods. He has 1,000 eyes, wields a weapon called the thunderbolt. That's what you hear. And then you draw a picture. So then that's how Varna. When you hear this, then you draw a picture on a wall or on a canvas. So that form as dependent upon this word. And similarly also, if you see the form of devatas, then you arrive at the name of the devata. Dustam jaha buddham rupam buddhe shabdaya kalpate. So you do not arrive at the form of Indra without having heard what Indra is. And you cannot visualize what Indra is unless you have seen the form. So form depends on the word that you heard, and word depends upon the form that you have seen. So because form depends upon the eyes and word depends upon the speech. So that is how Bhranta Buddhya Shukto Rajatatamiva Atmani Vividam Kalpitam Navastu Sadasti. All of this is projected upon the Atma. Evametat Jagat Sarvam Bhranti Buddhi Vikalpitam. So entire Jagat also is Vikalpitam in this manner. What entire Jagat? Nama, Rupam, Karma. Is all Kalpitam. Bhranti Buddhi Kalpitam is projected by the Buddhi that is under the influence of Bhranti or delusion. Asadetat tato yuktam satchinmatram na kalpitam. Therefore, it's only proper that all of these asat or mithya or kalpitam projected. And what's the reality? Satchinmatram. Sarva kalpitam ched. Then let us go to the verse number 13 of this chapter of 17. Asadetat tato yuktam Satchinmatram kalpitam Vedaschapi sa evadyah Vedyam chanyattu kalpitam. Asadeva etat tatah yuktam Jagatah mithyatva phalitamaha. That Jagat consisting of Nama, Rupa and Karma. Asad because anyonyena hi kalpitam. Nama is kalpitam by Rupa. Rupa is kalpitam by Nama. Call it Rupa, call it Varna, call it picture or a form. Then, first of all, you hear the name and description of Indra, then you create the picture. When you see the picture of Indra, then create the name. The name Indra cannot independently be arrived at without the form Indra. And form Indra cannot be arrived at without the name Indra. They ask us to look at this, how the mind is functioning. How things are just taken for granted. There are fundamental things in life. Upon that, then you build up many other kinds of dualities, of course. This is a fundamental build-up of duality, Nama Rupa. Then we build up man and woman and Hindu and Muslim, this and that, and all kinds of, then the whole host of dualities are built up. And then also, if you are very objective about that this is a build-up of duality, it doesn't have an ultimate reality. They will form constitutions and laws, universal laws based on that. But the basic division is taken to be real, then all the laws and everything is based on that, and then all the rights, etc., are based on that division. All the principles of secularism and one national, whatever principles, are all based on that division as real. Not that they have a certain reality, apparent reality, and therefore they can go so far in organizing the universe and helping the person organize himself or herself, But they cannot go beyond this because it's not a fundamental principle. That this is different, this is a woman and this is a man, and these are the rights, it has some reality, accept it. Some superficial realities there, we don't deny name and form have the reality. To think that that is the ultimate reality, become very emotional about the whole thing then. Become fanatic about those things. Not realizing that we are giving reality to something which is not there ultimately. And we want to solve the problem by giving reality to that, by creating divisions and creating spaces, and this is my space and you cannot enter. And thus we are creating divisions, taking them to be real. When there is encroachment in those things, then there are fights, etc. We can see how the whole life is based on taking for granted this division. You cannot solve any problem. Well, there are values you can follow of fairness, justice, etc. And so that will resolve things to some extent, conflicts. But ultimate conflict can resolve because these values also depend upon non-duality. Even fairness and justice, etc., all take for granted. The basis of all the values is non-duality. That you are not essentially different from me, and I am not essentially different from you. That is the basis of looking upon you with fairness and justice. Because each value ultimately requires me to treat you as I treat myself. Ultimately, that's what every value requires. Then only fairness can be in the primary sense, or justice can be in primary sense, or compassion, love, anything can be there. We are not unfamiliar with love. We know what love is. What's my thing towards myself is love. So not that I don't know what love is, but that's where my love is confined, unfortunately, often. So love can become more and more real the extent to which I look upon you as not different from myself. So these values require also the teaching, understand? We cannot follow the values giving reality to divisions and then you want to follow the values. Lots of conflicts are there. People don't accept it. What do you mean by non-violence? What do you mean by love? Where is it? Where is non-violence? How can there be? So taking division to be real, it's very difficult to justify these values. That is why the fundamental teaching is required. What is the fundamental basis of life? What's the fundamental value of life? The reality of life. And how all laws and values, all samanya dharma, vishesha dharma, every dharma can be traced to this one. Samanya dharma requires samanyata, requires uniformity. And uniformity ultimately culminates into oneness. And all Vishesha is Kalpitam. So Vishesha Dharma can have their place as far as Kalpana is concerned, not beyond that. That a man is a man, woman is a woman, Brahmana. We accept these divisions, not we don't for Vyavahara. Knowing that they are only skin deep and not much further than that. So this is where Vedanta is coming from. And this is how this teaching has to be applied in life. Not just being confined to these principles, and this is right, of course, but then, how, if this does not solve the problem of life, if this doesn't help you to live your life, that is why people dismiss all these theories and all these textbooks. What's the purpose of this non-duality? What purpose of this? What does it matter? Does it help you to live your life? So then we have to recognize how this alone can help us to live life properly, in a healthy way. So this is an extremely important teaching which is most relevant in the life. It's not a theoretical thing, confined to only intellectual understanding or discussions. It is something most intimate and very relevant to us. Sarvam kalpitam chet shunyavadapatti iti ashanka na karyayati. So first line of verse 13 said, asadetat tato yuktam. The first part. Tataha etad asaditi yuktam. Therefore this world comprising of nama, rupa, karma, being anyonyena hi kalpitam, because each one is dependent upon the other. Therefore, they are asat. Sarvam kalpitam chet shunyavadapatti iti. Then the Buddhas go to the other extreme. Everything is kalpitam. That means there is no basis at all, it's shunyam, they go to that extent. Ashanka na karya. No, that ashanka, you should not entertain that doubt. There is no basis at all. Satchin matram nakalpitam, the verse says. Nirdishthana kalpana anupatte. This is Vedanta Siddhanta. Nirdishthana kalpana anupatte. Anupapatti. Not logical, not tenable, not in keeping with reasoning. Upatti. Upatti reasoning, anupatti unreasonable, untenable. Niradhisthana, you cannot have kalpana, projection without there's some basis. You can't imagine something without some basis. The imagination or projection requires a basis upon which you project. What is meant by a basis that what is you imagine something else, that's called a kalpana. That what is this rope and you imagine that to be a snake, but then for kalpana of the snake, some basis such as rope is required. You cannot arrive at any kalpana without some basis. That's what Vedanta says to refute the idea of shunyatvam. Sarkalpana aspadam. If the universe of nama, rupa, karma is kalpitam, sarva kalpana aspadam, the kalpana that it is kalpitam itself shows that there must be an adhishthanam. That's the second principle. Niradhisthana kalpana anupatte. That kalpana of projection cannot be the adhisthana without the basis of substratum. So this kalpana declares that, hey, look at us properly. The reason why Upanishad describes the world as Nam, Rupa, Karma, it invites us to look further. Recognize that this is superficial, Nam, Rupa, Karma is kalpana. Don't stop there. Kalpana presupposes an adhishthanam, a basis. So kalpana invites us to investigate into the adhisthana or basis. Sarva kalpana aspadam sanchinmatram pratyaktatvam na kalpitam. So all kalpana aspadam, the very basis, locus of all the kalpana has to be sanchinmatram. Asti, bhati, something that cannot be denied. That no name, form or karma can exist without asat, without asti bhati. Na kalpitam. So whereas Nam Rupa is Kalpitam, understand that whenever there is also an awareness of Nam Rupa, there is also awareness of Satchit Asti Bhati. Without the awareness of Asti Bhati, there cannot be awareness of Nam Rupa. Nam Rupa is Vishesha, is a particular manifestation which requires Astivaya, which is Samanya, which is the non-particular universal basis. So every Vishesha presupposes Samanya. Vishesha is the Kalpana, Samanya is the basis. So Satchinmatram Pratyak Tattvam. That Satchinmatram Asti Bhati. The whole complicated web of this name and form, the whole universe is most amazing in one way. Don't dismiss the wonder that the universe is by calling it mithya. We don't mean that, it doesn't have its own glories. Vedanta describes the glories of the universe also. And helps us how to enjoy the glory even by meditations also. The various upasanas, the meditations are also they also are based on the manifestation of glory. Look at the glory of Ishvara, manifest Brahman. So by calling it asat or mithya, we are not dismissing that it has its contribution in life and it also contributes to happiness. Provided you are aware of the basis at this time, then the Adhyaropa can give you happiness. Otherwise it creates conflicts. Pratyak Tattvam. Satchin Matram Asti Bhati is not somewhere out there. You think name and form is out there, therefore Asti Bhati is not. Pratyak Tattvam is the essential nature of myself. Because Atma is only one that is self-revealing and therefore you are always aware of yourself, and that is Asti Bhati. So whenever there is awareness of anything, any name, form, etc., it is accompanied by the awareness of Asti Bhati, and that is the very self. Recognize that. Pratyak Tattvam na kalpitam. That is something that is not kalpitam. Sarasakshitvat tasya sarkalpanaya prageva siddhatvad ityartah. Sarasakshitvat, because it illumines everything. Illuminator must be there before what is illumined. The light must be there before what you see in the light. So the self-revealing Asti Bhati, you can call it Sakshi, witness, you can call it illuminator. For you to recognize the universe of Nama Rupa Karma, there must be the principle that illumines that Nama Rupa Karma, otherwise how will you be aware of it? The awareness because of which you become aware of Nama Rupa Karma has to be accepted. Because that is Nama Rupa Karma depends upon that doesn't depend upon whether Nama Rupa Karma is there, then also Asti Bhati is there, is not there, then also Asti Bhati is there, by Anvaya Vyatireka. The Pratyak Tattva is there. Sarasakshitvat tasya sarkalpanaya prageva siddhatvat. Before any projection takes place, the basis of projection has to be there. Before the projection of Nama Rupa Karma takes place, the basis Asti Bhati has to be there, which reveals itself and which reveals Nama Rupa Karma also. Meaning that don't throw away baby along with bathwater. They throw away that also. Nama Rupa Karma is mithya, and Atma also is mithya. Don't say that. Then some very serious matter is taken up here. Second line of verse 13 says, Vedaschapi sevadyo vedyam chanyattu kalpitam. So if nama, rupa, karma is all kalpitam, that kalpana includes what? Vedaschapi sevadya vedyam cha anyattu kalpitam. So Tika says, Vedacharyade atmatattva pratipatti hedutvat akalpitatvam astiti. Hey, wait a minute, you say Nama Rupa Karma is all kalpitam. But Veda Acharyadehe, the Shastra Veda, Acharya, the teacher, instructor, they must be there to give you the knowledge. Atma Tattva Pratipatti Hetutvat. The Shastra and Acharya are the very Hetu, the very reason for the knowledge to take place. Without the knowledge cannot take place, you know why? Looks like they are fanatic about knowledge cannot take place without teacher, etc. Only because I don't see need of knowledge. I think I know. So where the Shastra Acharya come into play is to first and making me understand that what I think I know is not right. And that the wrong knowledge is causing all the difficulties for me, all the problems in my life, and therefore that has to go, otherwise I don't care. Okay, what I know is wrong, what does it matter? It matters. If the sun is going around the earth, earth going, that may not matter, that kind of Brahma, but this Brahma much matters. So, without Veda and Acharya, first of all, they are required to draw our attention to something happening in our life. Now, karma, we take to be real, is not real. Your problems are not real. Your problems are based on your kalpana or your conclusions. We require someone to point out all this. Otherwise, I would never think that what I do, I need to investigate further. So, Veda Acharya de Atma Tattva Pratipatti Hetutvat. So Veda, Acharya, etc. are all Pratipatti Hetavaha, they are the cause of Pratipatti, knowledge of the Atma Tattva, the nature of the self. Akalpitatvam asti, therefore they cannot be kalpita. Shastra Acharya are those who help you overcome the kalpana, wake up from the kalpana. How can they be kalpana? Akalpitatvam asti iti. Therefore, they have to be akalpita, they have to be real. Katham chansin matram akalpitam iti. How can it only asti bhari akalpitam? You think that Shastra Acharya also are akalpita because they are because of which the knowledge takes place? So how do you say Satchin matram na kalpita? Satchin matram. Only Satchit is not kalpitam. Then that means Shastra Acharya is kalpitam? That's what it means. How can you say that? So second line of the verse says, Vedaschapi sevadya vedyam chanyattu kalpitam. Vedaschapi sevadya. What is Shastra? What is Acharya? Very boldly the teacher says, Atma alone is Shastra and Atma alone is Acharya. Saiva Adya. Adya means Purva Siddha Atma. First of all, it is said that the Kalpana must have the Adhishthanam, Satchin Matram, which is Sarva Sakshitvat, Sarva Kalpanaya, Pragava Siddhatvat. They are Sakshi or illuminate everything, therefore they exist before all the Kalpanas. So Satchit exists before the Kalpana is first of all established. Now that one is, call it Satchit, that Atma Tattvam, that Tikakara said. Satchin Matram Atma Tattvam na Kalpitam. That Satchit Atma Tattvam is the essential nature of the Atma. Seva Adya is the first one. Purva Siddha Atma Vedopi. So Adya Sarva Kalpanayaha Adhishthanam. Call it Satchit, call it Atma, call it Adhishthanam, the substratum of all the Kalpana. That is called Adya, means pre-exist, is always existing before anything else. That ever is. That's why somebody pointed out it's called Shesha. Shesha means what is left over, residue. Ananta is Shesha. Upon which even Lord Vishnu also, he also reclines. So that doesn't go. The whole universe comes to being, but Ananta, Shesha remains. So Ananta or Shesha is always there, which forms the basis of the next cycle of creation. So, Seva Adi Purva Siddha Atma, therefore Atma, Purva Siddha, pre-existing Atma, will be basis for all the play of the Nama Rupa Karma. Vedopi, the Atma alone is Veda. The Satchin Matra is alone is Veda. What is Veda? Vedana Hetuhu. Veda is Vedana Hetuhu, the cause of knowledge. Veda is the means of knowledge or what causes knowledge. Shrutya cha rupena maya prathate. So what the Maya does is brings into manifestation the Shruti Achar Rupena, the Adya Atma alone. Maya makes the Atma alone appear as Shruti and Acharya. Because Maya, of course, is all the Kalpana. For Kalpana, a basis is required. That Satchit Atma is the basis. Well, Adya means Purva Siddha, pre-existing Atma. So therefore, what is meant by Adhisthana, that alone manifests as all the Kalpana. When you say that the rope is Adhisthana of a snake, the rope alone manifests a snake. What makes the rope manifest? Maya makes the rope appear as a snake. That's the way of describing. So imagine something. What makes that? Why should a rope appear as a snake? Maya. So this is a way of describing that Maya makes the rope appear as a snake. So Maya makes that Adya, the pre-existing Atma, the Satchit Swarupa, as Shrutya cha rupena prathate. Maya makes that Adya Atma Asti Bhati as Shruti and Acharya. Because Shruti and Acharya are Vedana Hetuhu. They are the Hetu, the reason for knowledge. They reveal the knowledge. Tika's Artha Prakashana Shakti Anyatra Jade Asambhavad. The Shruti can reveal the nature of the truth. Pramanam, Acharya is what unfolds that Pramanam. Shruti and Acharya both are the means of knowledge or revealing the knowledge. Says nothing can reveal Artha Prakashana Shakti. The power of revealing the meaning has to be only in consciousness. Unconscious thing cannot reveal anything. Reveal, call it revealing, call it illumining, manifesting. Only consciousness can do that. Unconscious thing cannot do that. So Acharya, Shruti also are able to reveal the truth. What is it in them that reveals the truth? That consciousness. of Shruti and Acharya also, the essential reality is consciousness. Consciousness has now assumed the form of Shruti. Consciousness assumed the form of Acharya. And consciousness as Shruti and Acharya reveals. The Shruti reveals, Acharya reveals when Shruti as consciousness. It is true that consciousness needs to assume a certain form such as Shruti or Veda, or needs to assume a certain form called Acharya to do its job. Because conscious as it is cannot do its job, therefore to doing the job it needs a certain form and name. Shruti is a name and form, Acharya is a name and form. Then karma can be there. Karma or function, Vedana hetu. Shruti Acharya can become the cause of perform their role or function of revealing. When they were given name and form, you need a name and form for a particular karma. So Vedanam, the knowledge, is a karma, is a function, which requires particular Nam Rupa called Shruti and Acharya. But they can do their job of revealing the truth because only consciousness can do that. Therefore, Shruti and Acharya, nothing but consciousness is in the form of Shruti and Acharya. How do you say that? Nahi Agnigata Prakashana Shakti Vyatirekena Dipade Apara Prakana Shakti Prakashana Shakti Asti. Basically, Prakashaka, Agni is a Prakashaka. Element fire is called light also, Teja also. So Prakashanam, illumination, is the essential nature of element fire. And burning also, but so then now you say, oh, this lamp is illuminating, where is fire? Says Agni Gata Prakashana Vyatirekena. In what you call lamp also, what is that illumines? Prakashana Shakti. The power of illumination is what enables a lamp to illumine the objects. Where did that lamp get that Shakti? From Agni only, Agni alone. Agni is Adya, pre-existing, took a special form called Deepa or lamp, which is a name and a form and a function. See, principle Agni doesn't do anything unless it assumes a form. The principle of fire requires a form to do a particular job. To illumine here also is a particular job, therefore fire, which is a principle, universal, or the nirvishesha, attributeless fire, needs to assume attributes to perform specific functions. Therefore, the principle of fire needs to assume a form called lamp to accomplish the function of illumining these names and forms. Fire itself cannot do it as it is. Fire is Adya. Fire, the principle of light or illumination pre-exists. But that principle of illumination must assume certain form and name to do a particular karma of illuminating these objects. So don't think that the power of illumination that a lamp has come from somewhere other than fire. Nahi Agnigata Prakashana Shakti Vyatirekena. Without Vyatirekena, without the Prakashana Shakti, without the power of illumination, there is inherent Agnigata, inherent in Agni. So Prakashana Shakti, the power of illumination is inherent in fire. If the lamp illumines, that means inherently fire is there, otherwise lamp itself, is nothing but fire in that form. Deepade aparapaka, don't think that a lamp has an illuminating power independent of fire. A lamp does not possess the power of illumination other than that of fire. It is the illumination which is the power of fire that alone manifests as lamp and illumines. Don't think that lamp has an independent power of illumination. So don't think that Acharya and Shruti also independent power of revealing other than consciousness, which is the basic principle of revealing. But consciousness is nirvishesha, they must assume some vishesha to do particular vishesha karma. So when the vishesha karma of revealing knowledge is required, then a particular form is required. The vishesha karma of illumining this object is required, then the nirvishesha fire should assume the form of a lamp. Vishesha. So nirvishesha consciousness requires to assume the vishesha of Shruti and Acharya to perform the vishesha karma of revealing the knowledge. So don't think that the power of revealing that Veda and Acharya have comes from a source other than consciousness, which is the primary principle of revealing. Therefore, just as the principle of fire alone assumes a particular form called lamp to reveal objects, so also principle of consciousness assumes particular form called Shruti Acharya to reveal the knowledge. This is brilliant, this is the most amazing way of analyzing things, you see. Such simple words all expressed, such a profound things that are being expressed here. And people think that they are talking very profound things, so many other thinkers are there, think that they're very profound things they are talking, that they have no idea of what this one is here. All right, but then this is a Vedana, the means of knowledge. But what about what is known? Vedya. So again, Vedascha Visevadyo Vedyam cha Anyattu Kalpidam Vedyam. So this is Veda, which is Vedana Hetu, Shruti Acharya, but they reveal the objects. So what about what is revealed? So lamp is a revealing principle, but Ghatapata revealed. So conscious revealing principle reveals things. What about those which are revealed? Are they different? These Ghatapata, which are all different color, are they different from light? They are not. Light alone becomes different colors called Ghatapata. So that illumines light, that's how it amounts, what it amounts to. Vedyam cha tattvam sevadya iti sambandha. So second line, Vedascha sevadya Vedyam cha. Vedya means what is known. Vedyam cha tattvam. So tattva that is known. Atma, there is an object of knowledge that is revealed by Shruti and Acharya. Or any other thing that is known also, Nama Rupa Karma. Say Adya. So what is known also, object of knowledge also, is not different from the consciousness which is the knowing principle, which is the reason for knowledge, reason for revealing the knowledge. Then knowledge and also what is known is also not different from that consciousness. Anyattu kalpitam, anyattu visheshamatram kalpitam. What is anyat? No, but there is ghata, pata, matha. What is Vedya? The object of knowledge. What is the object of knowledge that possesses visheshata? Nam Rupa Karma. So Nam Rupa Karma becomes Vedyam. Anyattu visheshamatram kalpitam. The Nama Rupa Karma is kalpitam. What is the base of Nama Karma is only awareness, consciousness, Satchit, Atma. That alone becomes the Veda, becomes Acharya, becomes the universe that is known, and the knowing. Tathacha kalpita vishesha anugatatvena atmaneva bodhikatvam. So kalpita vishesha, this nama, rupa, karma or kalpita, they are all projected. Vishesha means these particulars. But there is anugatatvam, something that accompanies them always, that is astivati. Satchit Atma or consciousness. So Anugatatvena Atmane both. Therefore, even Shruti and Acharya also a Nama Rupa, isn't it? And performing karma. Anugatam, what is something inheres in them? Always accompanies them, also is Asti Bhati. Consciousness. Bodhakatvam. So what really Bodhaka, what really illumines, imparts knowledge, even through Shruti and Acharya, same consciousness that imparts the knowledge. Sarkalpana, Apavada, Avaditaya, Tasya Bodhyatvam cha. So Atma alone is the Shruti Acharya, Veda and Vedya. That alone is Bodhaka, that alone is the one that reveals or delineates or teaches. Sarkalpana Apavad Avaditaya. How does the Bodha take place? How is the teaching imparted? That Naruva Karma is all Kalpana. And what the Shruti Acharya want to teach us is that this Vedya or object of knowledge, Namarupa Kalpana, which has been taken for granted to be real, they help us analyze what is the reality of that by showing how Nama, Rupa and Karma reduce to the Vag, Chakshuhu, Atma. Then they will further reduce to, so Samanya reduces Vishesha Samanya, then that to Mahasamanya, Mahasamanya. So this is how the Shruti enables us to understand the reality of what we are experiencing. That what we are experiencing is Vishesha, which doesn't stand apart from Samanya, which is a Vishesha, not apart from another Samanya. All of these ultimately will reduce to a Samanya, which cannot be further reduced, irreducible substratum, they call it. Sarkalpana, Apavada, Avaditaya. Apavada, what can be negated is Kalpana. That Nama, Rupa, Karma can be reduced to something, namely Vang, Chakshuhu, Atma. Atma there means Sharira. Only because Nama, Rupa, Karma are Kalpana, therefore they can be reduced to their Samanya or their basis. Which are further Kalpana, which can reduce to further things. Sarkalpana, Apavada, Avaditaya. And this reduction process can go on until it cannot further, irreducible substance, it cannot further reduced. Kalpana Avadhi. Avadhi is the limit of all the Kalpana. And so, Tasya Bodhyatvam. So all of that reduces to again consciousness. What is teaching is consciousness. What is taught is universe, reduces to consciousness. What is therefore what is taught also is conscious. Both, therefore, Bodhyatvam. Bodhaka is consciousness. Bodhya, the Jagat, is also consciousness because that reduces to same Satchit. Upadyate, that what is one non-dual Asti Bhati, that is Akalpitam, everything else is Kalpana, including Veda and Acharya, that Vedanam, Bodhaka, Bodhya, Bodhanam, all of these also are nothing but one Satchit principle. So don't get stuck anywhere. No, this is holier than thou, this is a holy, they call it the holy cow. You can't touch this. Acharya you can't touch. Veda you cannot touch. This you cannot touch. No. So, you can, therefore this looks like the inquiry or the analysis, investigation is ruthless. Ruthlessly investigated. Don't get stuck with emotion. Acharya, no, that one, this, that. So Bhagavan, no, that is Bhagavan. Oh, analyze what Bhagavan also is. Oh, but then you are, you are insulting Bhagavan. When you say Bhagavan, that is called, what is it called in, That is a word that the Islam uses, is blasphemy. That's blasphemy. Blasphemous. So Vedanta doing all blasphemy. He says, no, we are honoring it, we are not blasphemizing it. To think that Bhagavan is only this much omniscient, omnipotent, no, it's more than that even. Where we are not blasphemizing, we are honoring it. By revealing the non-duality, we are not reducing or blasphemizing duality, we are honoring it. Tasya bodhyatma upadyate. That's how this passage says that what is Satchin Matram and everything else is Kalpitam. Therefore the Bodhaka also Satchin Matra, Bodhya also Satchin Matra, Bodhanam also Satchin Matra. Ultimately. Otherwise they will remain as pockets, isolated islands, that everything is okay, but Acharya is one thing, Shruti is another thing, this is another thing, Ishvara is another thing. Like icebergs, they will keep floating independently. So everything reduces to one principle. And that is not blasphemizing them, this is honoring them. Not confining them to their isolated spots, but showing the real glory of them. That's what Vedanta teaches here. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.